How do you choose your partners in a film?
Well, I try and work with my friends as much as possible because it makes life very simple. I've been very lucky because I've been able to work with Diane Keaton many times now. So that's a big help immediately. And I have one or two actor friends that I like that can play certain parts. I create parts for them because I know them so well.
What are you stopping for?
What am I stopping? I'm trying to figure this out. I think according to this, we're supposed to take a left turn.
So that doesn't mean stop. Let's go.
Wait, will you give me... What the hell are you doing?
What do you mean, what am I doing?
You got your hat on backwards.
Yeah, so?
What do you mean, so? If the flashlight goes in the front.
Yeah, but it looks cooler like this.
What, are you a jerk? What do you mean it looks cooler?
It's a lot more stylish than that. Look at that.
You think so?
Yeah, turn it around. This is chic like this. Yeah, look at that. That's cool.
You got a mirror?
No, I don't got a mirror. That looks good. Look at yourself. That looks good. I'll show you when we get out.
All right.
Can you keep going, please?
All right. I'm trying to figure them out.
Embarrassed, yes.
I have been...
Of course, if you appear on a magazine cover and they say a genius, everyone must hate you, and you must feel like a fool. You know, how can you take that seriously for a minute? So I was embarrassed by it. I would have liked them to put my picture and to say a terrific new movie or a very funny new film. That would have been perfect. You know, I was a reasonably happy kid, I guess. I was brought up in Brooklyn during World War II. My analyst says I exaggerate my childhood memories, but I swear I was brought up underneath the roller coaster in the Coney Island section of Brooklyn. Maybe that accounts for my personality, which is a little nervous, I think. You know, I have a hyperactive imagination. My mind tends to jump around a little, and I have some trouble between fantasy and reality.
The assignment was the pilot for Night Gallery. It was a trilogy, and I was going to direct the second middle segment with Joan Crawford being the star. And in it, Rod Serling wrote the piece. I remember, more than anything else, the first day of shooting, the crew had a very antagonistic reaction to my involvement as the director of the show. Joan giving a speech and standing up and saying, I have great respect for this director. I've worked with him before, A Small White Lie, and I want you to treat him as well as you would treat me. We're all in it. We're all professionals. And I'll never forget that speech he gave to the whole crew.
I was grabbing Dolly Parton's ass in a movie called Straight Talk.
I saw that with James Woods.
Yes, exactly. That was my first gig. I got my union cards, and I have top billing in the movie because it's in order of appearance. And you see the back of my head before you see Dolly Parton. I had 2 lines.
Well, Aaron Rubin actually gave me my first 8mm camera, and I used it and made some little home movies. And Dad was very interested in me learning how to use it, and we played around with it. But it was really as a young mid-teen that I became hooked on the idea. I discovered the movies and really became a fan. And then I acted for a young director doing a movie for Disney when I was 15. It was called The Wild Country. Very formulaic Disney kind of movie. But I got this guy, Robert Totten, and he was great. And he was only 31 years old, I think, at the time. And he had directed his first feature film at 21. And I mentioned that I was interested in directing, and his attitude was, what are you waiting for? Whereas everyone else had always been rather patronizing about it. You know, he gave me the belief that I could probably still direct a feature film when I was a teenager. You know, I could do it. And I really began aggressively writing, making movies, and editing them together, and the films became, you know, a bit more sophisticated as I went along through high school.
I thought that the way to get into movies was through the kind of art world, through film festivals and stuff, because that's how everybody was getting, you know, known, you know, Soderbergh and all those guys. And so I tried that. I'm not good at that, and I'm bad at that, you know, and I just, you know, was failing. And I looked around my house and I said, you know, saw my movie posters that are up, and I saw Jaws and The Exorcist and, you know, and Raiders of the Lost Ark, and I said, you know, I should just make one of those. You know, I don't think people, you know, wait for permission to make one of those. Just go make one of those. So I sit down and I said, you know, I love ghosts. Let me just make a ghost story. So I started writing a ghost story. And so it was really kind of the freedom of realizing, you know, you love this kind of food. Why don't you, as a chef, make this kind of food? And I guess I was waiting for someone to give me permission, and I realized, you know, nobody gives you permission for that.
To have this kind of a reasonable amount of unreasonability to even become a filmmaker. Because reasonability dictates that, like, hey man, you're not from Los Angeles, you don't work near a movie studio, you're not born to this business, you can't be a filmmaker. That's for other people. You have to have a reasonable degree of unreasonability. You have to be able to be like, no, it doesn't have to be that way. But not enough where you're like, but I'm going to change the world. Just enough where like, I'm going to do it. Fuck them what they say.
Who is Zimmy?
My grandmother.
What role did Zimmy play in all of this?
Well, she paid for me to go to Morehouse and NYU and financed my films too.
Is Zimmy still with us?
Yes, I was in Atlanta with her yesterday. She's 94 years old. And all that money is just from her Social Security checks that she saved over the years because she was an art teacher. So she worked 50 years teaching art.
Oh, you know, you never work with Spike.
I don't care to either.
Really?
You don't care to work with him?
You don't like Spike Lee?
But what if he say, yo, I want you to be in this movie?
I don't know. I think we met one time and the energy was fucked up. So you know how black people are. Like, well, fuck you then, motherfucker. You ain't gonna pay me no money anyway, bitch. So go about your business.
But what if it came around and something came up? Would you work with him?
I don't know. Tell you the truth. You know, maybe he killed me with the Malcolm X. I think he fucked it up. You know.
Do you?
Yeah. You don't film a story like that and cash yourself in it as the fucking sidekick. It makes it like a fucking joke. Like Malcolm X.
But that was only 20 minutes of the movie, though.
Nah, but if we're watching Schindler's List and then we go, let's put some comic relief in here. You feel me?
Yeah, but wasn't there that character in the book, though? There was that character in the book. Are you saying that fucked up the whole movie for you?
I'm just saying that, yeah. Like, what the fuck is this sidekick? What the fuck is he doing?
But that was even before Denzel
But that was
went
the
to
early
prison.
days, right? With the hair relaxing.
It was a zoot suit.
It was like Denzel did the shit. You know what I'm saying? But then a film is everything. So your weakest thing in a film, to me, can turn out the biggest blemish on the film. You see what I'm saying? If you got this stupid thing, like you shoot Dr. King's
What about Do the Right Thing?
That was cool. No, it was cool. That was cool.
I met Spike when I was 18.
No shit.
And in Europe.
Let me see that.
And we became like little, friends for a while. And I thought all of that media stuff was just not the case at all.
Like hype, hey, John, if you're on a press line...
It's like the guys who invented Dogma, the whole Swedish film movement. Those guys don't mean half of that manifesto that they... I mean, it's this amazing... It creates this amazing...
One thing you can't say about
them.
Spike is as far as taking himself and making him... He's a brand name. Spike Lee.
No, I respect that.
Working with him as an actor brings out the best in you. And it's amazing because I think the same thing about Woody, and those are probably the two directors who communicate with you the least.
School ended in May. I just finished my sophomore year. So I came back to New York, tried to find a summer job, couldn't find one. And so with the Super 8 camera that I had gotten, I just spent the whole summer going around shooting stuff in New York City, and that summer happened to be the summer of the blackout. And that summer was also the first summer disco, and there were always block parties around everywhere, and people would just plug up their turntables to the street lights, and that's the first summer that the dance, the hustle came out. And so I made a film called Last Hustle Brooklyn. It was real intercut with the looting from the blackout with the block party stuff. And so that's when I really decided I want to be a filmmaker, and do something that I know I can do. That's when I wrote the script that She's Gotta Have It.
What'd you shoot that on?
Super 16, black and white film. Shot in 12 days in the summer of 1985.
I read read in Time magazine that you don't work to make a profit, that if you make a $1 profit, it's okay with you. Money doesn't mean anything for you?
Well, when you say money doesn't mean anything, it doesn't mean to me, as I wouldn't make a picture for the money. I mean, that's not my interest when I make a picture. Everybody in show business that has any success at all automatically makes a lot of money. Now, I make a lot of money compared to my sister, who is a school teacher. I don't make a lot of money compared to Barbara Streisand, who is an actress. So I'm not interested in high finance the way many movie actors are, but just what I make automatically is still enough money. I mean, it's still more than I ever thought I would make when I was 10 years old.
Working with Francis, and he, we were doing this funeral scene, and it was over. The shooting day was over. We lost the light. Although there was some light left, but it was 6 o'clock. And in those days, the studio, those producers were right there, and they said it's over. And I remember leaving, and I felt rather good about it being over because I was tired, a long day. And of course, I'm not behind the camera. I don't know what's going on. I saw Francis sitting there, one of the gravestones, a real gravestone, and he was crying, literally sobbing. And I went over and I said, "What's the matter?" He said, "They won't give me another setup." Was crying about it, and I thought, this is how much it meant to him.
Example, I'm starting a film now in 3 weeks, and we don't really have the money for it all together, but we're in a position where we have all the people and we're working on it, and we want to continue working on it, so each week you say, well, let's go another week, and you're sort of financing it yourself, hoping that next week someone will come in with the money. And what happens, then you get so far deeply into the production that you sort of have to go all the way, and then suddenly someone says, well, you owe $14 million.
Now, you raise an interesting point there that people who fancy themselves artists probably could understand, but people who fancy themselves businessmen are probably going, Francis, that's how you get into trouble. Get the money first, then go to work.
Well, I mean, it's my feeling when you want to get a movie going, it's so easy for someone to come in and say, well, we don't like that idea, or we don't think that's like anything that's done well. So really, if you want to start, my feeling is just start and follow your heart. And really, Godfather 2, I remember we had spent $1 million building the sets before Paramount ever told us we could make it.
Now, see, now what would have happened if Paramount said, oh, we've decided against it? I mean...
Well, that's sort of what has happened to me at certain times, and this notion of me being a risk taker isn't really so true. It's not that I'm a risk taker, it's just that once we're making the film, we don't want to stop, and we sort of, maybe in a naive way, think that, oh, it'll all work out. And we really just keep, like what would happen if they said, look, the money for the show is gone now, and you want to keep doing it, or should we tell the audience to leave? And I mean, we say, let's do the show and worry about it when it's all over.
Yeah.
And that's really how it is. It's the risk part is the least important. We're not thinking about that. We're thinking about